Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Yoji. Welcome to another tier list video. This tier list is the most important one ever in Path of Exile. This is what makes or breaks the game for me personally. And as always, this is kind of a matter of taste. So that means you can't really argue about this. As it is, there's just one real, true, proper, correct opinion on the matter of Herald MTX. And that's my opinion. I'm the expert here. And I'll tier all these Herald MTX into a list so you know if you're right or wrong about your choices of Herald MTX. So let's get started and go into this. We start off with Automaton Herald Effect. This one, when it came out, was a bit of a point of contention in the community because it looks very like cell shading, anime explosion, cartoonish. And I actually kind of like this. There's some where I don't like it when they feel like out of place, but this one kind of feels a bit cool. I like love the Herald of Ash Effect. Looks like a huge, fiery cartoon explosion. The Herald of Ice is super noticeable, like turquoise, explosions, cell shade shenanigans. I can totally understand if you hate it. You're wrong then, but I can totally understand it. But yes, it is a bit out of place. I'd say it's like an A tier. Let's put an A tier. I think that's roughly where it is. Bloodguard Herald Effect. I don't like this one. It doesn't really click with me. It has some very bright, very burny things, but it feels overall a bit... sometimes so crisp, like from the colors, that it feels a bit out of place. And I just don't really have a good way to mesh it with stuff, and it doesn't really do the gritty as well as some of the other ones. And it's kind of like weirdly subtle in some cases and weirdly unsubtle in other cases. So I'm not a huge fan of this. For me, it's like kind of like a C tier. I'm not a huge fan of the Bloodguard. Okay, Celestial Herald Effect. This is one that just draws a lot of circles on the ground and makes it so you can't see shit. I love the visuals. They actually look pretty cool. I mean, Celestial, a lot of people love Celestial. I'm usually kind of on the fence. But for Celestial Herald, I kind of like it. Herald of Ash and Ice look nice. And the Herald of Thunder looks okay. So I would say... probably A tier. If you could see the ground, it's kind of like the same with Automaton. This would be a bit higher, but overall it's pretty good. Alright, Demonic Herald Effect. I'm not a huge fan of Demonic. Aside from the... what's great about Celestial, by the way, is the Herald of... what's called Herald of Agony. The star sign Scorpion is amazing. Herald of Demonic Herald, what I like is the Herald of Purity. You have like these dark demonic dudes now. It's like basically evil Herald of Purity. I think that is pretty cool. But all the other ones are kind of like eh. I mean, the Scorpion is okay, but I'm not a huge fan of the this like demonic look as well. Like the spiky crystals, the red crystals from Herald of Ice look kind of weird. I'm not at all a fan from the orby look of Herald of Ash, and the Thunder is okay. So I would put it like into B tier because the both minions are really, really nice. Sun Prism Herald Effect. No, wait, this is not Sun Prism. I think this is Divine. This doesn't have anything on it. Okay, we'll try to figure it out. Dragon Hunter Herald Effect. Okay, I really don't like the Herald of Ash because it's too bright. Dragon Hunter otherwise is amazing. I like the Herald of Ice. I think the Herald of Ice might be one of the better ones definitely out there. The super fiery Scorpion is kind of cool. Also the fiery Herald of Purities are kind of cool. So if you want to go with like a fiery theme in general, this is a really nice one. Except for, like, weirdly enough, Herald of Ash looking a bit bright. So I would say this goes into somewhere in the... I think it's like B tier. It's definitely below Celestial for me. Alright, so for Faith Guard, Herald of Ice, Fire and Purity, and all the time. I don't think it applies to Purity. Does it? I think it might. My problem with this, Herald of Ash way too bright. The Herald of Ice just draws weird circles, and it's not one of good circle ones. And the Herald of Thunder kind of looks a bit wonky. I don't like the whole lightning. It's like super arced. It's like I like when it looks a little more like lightning and a little less like beams. But for this one, it's alright, but it's not fantastic. I would also put it like in the B tier. But the Herald of Ash is way too bright. I would never use that. Okay, this is a Gloom Herald. Actually, for how old Gloom Herald is, it holds up pretty well. I still like the dark, which basically the Herald of Ice is basically just like a dark Herald. The Herald of Ash looks a bit oldish on the like effects on the particles and whatnot. So I think it's okay, but it's not fantastic. It's like in the C tier, but for how old it is, actually holds up pretty well. I sometimes still use it in builds, but very rarely. Gore Herald. Gore Herald now. Okay, the Herald of Ash I think is not that fantastic. The Herald of Thunder is not that fantastic. The Herald of Ice though, if you want to have an insane impact feeling, a huge explosion feeling on your Herald of Ices, this Gore Herald. So I would say it's still B tier for how old it is. It's still really, really good. Innocence Herald effect. I think Innocence effect is actually really good. The Sin and Innocence both, like a little bit of a spoiler. They're both really good. I think this is the Sin effect. They're both really, really good. Like, they were a really good addition to the game. I think the Sin Herald effect for me is S tier. It's probably the best subtle effect you can get. It makes the lightning like slightly white-ish, like white bluish, grayish, from Herald of Thunder. And I love how I think the Herald of Ice might be my favorite of all the Herald of Ices, even. It's really, really cool effect. But it's a bit of a subtle one. So if you like subtle heralds, look into Sin Herald of thingy. And if you want to draw circles, this is the best circle drawer. And also it has the best Herald of Thunder. It has the Herald of Thunder that's very easy to see that it's up. It has like a cool looking, divine looking circular buff around the character. And also the lightning strikes are some of my favorites. It's probably my favorite Herald of Thunder overall. So I think Sin and Innocence Herald are S tier for me personally. That's a very, very top tier. Right, next up we got Purple Herald. It's meme tier. It's just meme tier. It just looks silly these days, especially like it doesn't really fit in well with like all the other effects that are happening. It's just like purple stuff happening. It's meme tier for me. Stygian Herald of all the things. I actually think that's pretty cool. I like the minions. Both of them are pretty good. It's like a dark bluish, gloomy effect. It's kind of like what Gloom Herald would be if Gloom Herald came out later, I feel like. So I think that's like an updated version of Gloom Herald. Don't think it's enough for S tier because it's not stand out enough, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. The Herald of Ice effect is really nice. So the Herald of Ice basically rivals the Gore Herald of Ice, when like comes from like to like an impact feel, but it's a bit more darker. It stands out a bit more in like a dark type of way, not like in a bright flashy type of way. So I think this one is fantastic. Sun Prism Herald is probably one of my favorite Herald effects as well. It's probably like somewhere in here. I like the Herald of Ice, like the bright crystals are very standout, like very shiny looking. It's pretty cool. So the Sun Prism effect goes well. You have a very bright Sun Prism-ish light-wise, like light looking Scorpion. You have the purities don't look that much different, I feel, from the original ones. I love the Herald of Ash effect, even though it is a bit bright, it's a bit harsh on the eyes, but it's okay. And then there's the Herald, the Lightning, the Thunder is alright. It's not that fantastic, but I still like how it looks. It's like a bit of a brighter one. Transcendence Herald for me personally is a bit too much. It's just too much, like too many colors, like too neon at times. It's just also like all of them are like very, very bright and very different colors to it. Some people will love this. If you like the Transcendence armor set and you want like have the butterfly wings look like super fancy, fabulous, go for it. It's a cool look you can rock, and it's definitely like a fitting theme you can do. But it's very hard to combine because it only really fits within that theme. So I would say the Transcendence Herald for me is not that great. I like the Scorpion the most from all of them in this one, but it's for me personally, it's not my thing. And there's Wasteland Herald effect. It's basically drawing circles, but none of the good drawing circles one. If you want to go draw cool circles, do Celestial or do Innocence. Those are the good circles in my opinion. I think Wasteland Herald, it's a bit more of a gritty one, but it's not like such a good gritty one. I think they've, like, interestingly enough, one of the dark and gritty and maybe a bit more subtle ones, I usually prefer that theme, but they've not really done many of those. Maybe Dragon Hunter has to go up. I'm just thinking that Dragon Hunter might actually have my favorite Herald of Ice. The Dragon Hunter Herald of Ice looks really nice as well, so I might bump that up. But it's really hard to tell. Like they're all pretty good. This Herald of Ice is also really nice. White Herald for me is like kind of like a B tier. It's pretty hard to combine. I like the Purity minions kind of, but it's just very hard to combine. But I think all the effects themselves are very, very solid and very, very good. So overall, I would say, yeah, it's a White Herald is okay. It's just not super easy to use in a build without feeling off, unless you're using the white sets. Kind of like what Transcendence suffers from as well. It's pretty hard to combine. Oh yeah, then this is Divine Herald. Divine Herald, the Herald of Ice actually has a pretty good feel to it and a cool sound. Don't actually know if it has a different sound, but just like the whole concept, the feel of the Herald of Ice is pretty good. Overall, it hasn't caught up or like stayed relevant enough because it's a very old effect. So I would still put it like somewhere in the C tier, but I think that's roughly where I would put it. So yeah, that's my personal taste of Herald MTXs, which is of course the correct one. If you want to tell me your take on it. I'll link the tier list in the description below, and you can tier Herald and tweet them at me over there. It says Twitter is its_Yoji. You can tweet at me your tier list. I'll have a look and leave a comment on every single tier list that gets tweeted at me on Twitter. Just give me maybe like a day or so, but I'll have a look. And yeah, that's it. I'm Yoji, and thanks to all my patrons for the support, for allowing me to do more of this crazy, super fun, amazing content. Tier list, by the way. I'm Yoji, and I will see you soon.